Speaking of clips making a rounds across social media, we've seen the fallout from the Grammys, including Snoop Dogg voicing his opinion and saying that he's been nominated 20 times and hasn't received one Grammy. I don't think he was really complaining and such about it, but just letting it be known. And also, we've had J-Dee from the Lynch Mob chime in on what he feels was the Grammys not having a fair representation for the West Coast of hip hop. So let's check this clip out and then we'll do a response on it. So this is J-Dee of the Lynch Mob. Shouts out to J-Dee.
Yeah, big up to J-Dee.
Let this clip load up. So okay, say trouble sharing the clip. Let's try again.
Stop. We supposed to have a fucking hip hop alliance that is in process right now. The hip hop alliance that is active and busy right now. We are supposed to have a hip hop alliance that is a representation and representative of all facets of hip hop, every part of the culture. I got one question. Why in the fuck don't we have West Coast representation on the Grammys tonight? How do you give hip hop a birthday party and let it turn 50, but the West Coast don't have a goddamn candle on the cake? Somebody explain that to me. And we made such a generous contribution to the goddamn game starting back in 1982, 83, and 84. I'm waiting. I got time. Fuck that. I'm listening.
Yeah, so there we see from the OG, J-Dee, he definitely letting it know that he feel that there hasn't been the right representation. I mean, you being the West Coast out there, what do you think?
I mean, big up to the homeboy J-Dee. You know what I'm saying? I do feel him. I understand where you're coming from, but it's only so much time that they can put something together. You know what I'm saying? And that everybody fits at the same time. I guess our West Coast representation was Ice-T that performed last night. You know what I'm saying? It's a situation of it's not a lot of time to squeeze everybody in there. We would love to get everybody. I'm sure they would love to. I would love to see, Snoop and especially, big up to Snoop too, because Snoop that made so much money for the industry that I don't understand why he doesn't have a Grammy. That doesn't make sense. Yeah, somebody needs to see about that. You know what I'm saying? Somebody needs to check up on that and see what's up. Don't nobody bring as much excitement than Snoop and Dre and then when they all get together, in the pound and everybody get together and they put these melodies together. No shade or no disrespect to nobody. Congratulations to King Kendrick as far as getting his Grammy, but I feel like it's a slap in the face for Snoop not to have a Grammy, and Kendrick did. You know what I mean? Not taking away from Kendrick, he dope and all that. So I don't want nobody take it a certain way, but I guess Ice-T was our representation, and it's another reason too. I'm just speaking from a different aspect. How can we have this conglomeracy? J-Dee was locked up when we had the West Coast Summit, and it was in Universal City, you know what I'm saying, in LA. He was locked up at the time, but I think what we need to do is the OGs need to step up and speak up on, how can we get together and unify through music when we can't even unify in our own city? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's so much death and killing when it comes to the West Coast and associated with the West Coast, as far as music and when we pop up on the scene. You know what I mean? Like last time we had the big shit, Pac and Biggie and all them, at award shows. Look at Offset and Quavo. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I think that's the reason why they don't have a lot of shit for the West Coast, because when the West Coast comes into the picture, some violence ensues and niggas is getting beat up and it just leave a bad taste in people's mouth. You know, to keep it on 100, at the end of the day, Biggie died in LA. You know what I mean? A lot of people, Pop Smoke, a lot of motherfuckers died in LA. So when you say LA, of course we come with good music. Of course we have the dopest shit and all of that. But it's just like we have too much violence and people getting beat up and shot up when we come into the picture. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, they did the I'm just thinking they did the big Super Bowl performance that was out there on the West, right? And so we know that they can, get the West Coast and stuff involved. Obviously, as you said, this being a celebration of hip hop's 50th, there's so much people that we would like to see out there, but obviously, unfortunately, everybody couldn't really make the lineup and stuff. I do feel as though, as you said, with Ice T, as to me, definitely a strong representation for the West. I know some people may feel as though because of his style and how he puts it down. His even from back in the day, he's got that affiliation. I think I don't want to say like he an East Coast type of dude because everybody know Ice from the West and rep the West, but he got the respect in the East and stuff. And there's a lot of other artists that have got respect in the East and stuff too. But Ice T coming from his sort of generation and era, like he definitely up there with like one of the hip hop progenitors. So I don't know if people just see him as just an overall hip hop OG, or if they start making demarcations and saying the West and that sort of thing. But I feel as though when you mention somebody like Snoop and especially going down, you automatically get that association of the West Coast and stuff like that. Same with a bunch of brothers. But I do hear where everybody coming from in this one. I feel as though, like we were speaking yesterday when it came to Willie D and certain people, I think, dependent upon, the artist, sometimes it could be a political thing. They may not want certain people involved.
I just think that we need to, you know, niggas is tripping off blood and Crip too much. You know what I'm saying? Niggas is too quick to cut each other throat and not loyal enough. To me, I'm speaking on it. I'm just put it out there. Niggas, niggas be too with the blood and Crips. Oh, he from this, or so I'm gonna act funny, or act funny. I think that we act too funny towards each other, black people. Then complain about how come we don't have, or how come we not. You know what I'm saying? It's because niggas always ruin it. Motherfuckers always ruin it. Just keep it all the way 100. You know what I'm saying? All black people is not like that. It's a bunch of us that got sense that's not with that bullshit. The same as everybody else don't like it. But everybody, they get on the camera and speak that shit. You know what I mean? And speak that brother. But then, in real life, nobody don't give a damn about each other. And I think that when we start caring about each other, that's when other people will start, when you start having pride in your own people, you know what I mean? And be optimistic that it's gonna work and make it work. Then I feel like that's when people will start opening up. It's been a long time that they didn't even want to give West Coast groups to put them on tour. It was always some shit going on. You know what I mean? So that's what I think. We need to get it together first. That's why I need no representation. Young G's ain't listening to the OGs. Ain't nobody got no respect. You know what I mean? And so they only got respect when some money is involved. So let's keep it 100.
Yeah, no, I think you make it, definitely a good point and stuff. And one of the reasons I mentioned Ice T as well is because him and Al notably had an early feud, in the 1980s and stuff like that. And you remember that lyric Al dropped? What the? I thought I conquered the world, crushed Mo D, Hammer, and Ice T's girl.
Ice T Curl, yeah, Ice T Curl, yeah. He went hard on them, but they grown men,
But that's what I'm
grown
gonna
men
say.
squash shit. Grown men sit down and talk. Grown men, if a man got an issue with something with you, grown men gonna sit down and talk, or they gonna talk it out.
But that's why I think it was dope that they, we get to see them together. They posted a picture backstage at the performance celebrating hip hop. Because as we know, a lot of things within hip hop, some of this stuff if we're coming from an art form, it's always been used that way to represent and to sometimes dispel what somebody else got to say. Famously we look at KRS One even coming with South Bronx and the Bridge Is Over and stuff like that. These are iconic moments in hip hop. So it's not so much about the dissing and stuff at times, it's about the message and sometimes the stuff that happens within it and just that tool of expression. So I just wanted to mention that just more so for the fact that, it was dope to see Ella and Ice, kicking it and stuff like that, and celebrating and representing for the culture. You mentioned um, Quavo and Offset, and I'm gonna share this clip that's been making its rounds on social media, which is apparently Cardi B backstage at the Grammys.
Caught this blow up from presenter Cardi B. So, what went down? It appears tensions boiled over between the remaining members of Migos, Cardi's husband Offset and his cousin Quavo.
I heard you back here settling some stuff.
The only thing I said was my outfit, honey.
Yeah, so then we see a clip, which has been widely shared across social media as we speak. Cardi B, we could just hear her saying to you guys are both wrong. It's been reported that there was some kind of backstage dispute between the remaining members of the Migos. Offset has since posted on his Twitter saying that the reports are false to that effect. He said, nothing happened, but we've seen reports that saying there's this backstage incident, and now this clip with Cardi B kind of going off a bit. So maybe it gives some credence to the report that there was some kind of fracas backstage between these guys.
Cardi not gonna let that shit go on. You heard what she said. Both of y'all wrong. It's a lot of tensions going on, motherfuckers. Is that's how I go when you in a group. Like I said, you in a group, shit gonna go on like that. But at the end of the day, everybody rich. You know what I'm saying? There's no reason for that. You have little animosities. You have a little shit that you got going on between you and your group mate. Y'all wait till afterwards. You know what I mean? Like people looking for that type of shit. Takeoff is already was taken away from here. So it's not like they thirsting for clout. They got a bunch of clout. You know what I mean? So obviously they going through it or whatever. I'm sure they'll work it out. You know what I mean? Big group, Migos. You know what I mean? Shit happens. Shit's gonna happen. You know what I mean? It's just how you conduct yourself in the public eye. But shout out to Migos. Quavo and Offset and Cardi B. She's something else. She ain't playing.
Yeah, she definitely representing. I mean, speaking of clout chasing, I'm gonna share a clip that's recently popped up on social media, shared from the Breakfast Club, and I think this is an example of clout chasing. But we're gonna check this out of celebrityism in a crazy aspect, and then we're gonna come back with some commentary.
Because it's hot, and I felt like I was at home.
Not hot in here.
It's not hot. Well, I wanted to show y'all that I feel at home.
Yeah, but it's a bunch of dudes here.
It's women.
It is
in
not
here.
a bunch of dudes in here. Don't say
That's
that.
what I'm saying. I was telling them that our ratio is solid. But even then, like I don't want the dudes
ratio.
to look at my nipples.
Ratio. I thought
nor
you said
the ladies.
ratio.
Like it ain't about that.
You meant ratio.
Ratio's dope.
Yeah,
just
I like that.
just like Ridiculous.
Raelian.
Raelian.
Yeah, I
some
like that.
revival if we going to church. You know what I'm saying? Let's have some redemption.
I like that.
If we want to if we want to do water, we can be revived.
But let's get to the Ray Umers right now. All right.
I like that, Ray.
Now,
The Ramers.
Yeah, so we see a short clip from the Breakfast Club. I mean, Ray J sitting around with his shirt off. To me, that clip off the bat just screams fruity and a bit funny. And what made me laugh is Charlamagne there, giggling and clapping and
Yeah. Charlamagne giggling and clapping. But when Badass called up there to the Breakfast Club and was saying all that shit about Ray J, you know what I mean? Charlamagne was the main one up there. We've been heard that Ray J was on that, and that's an old rumor and all that. So I just look at this shit, a bunch of fake shit. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Charlamagne. Let's keep it real. This is right around it. This nigga can turn right around and they can talk about how they have the gay rumors about you too. You know what I mean? But let's keep it 100. That's all it is to it. But Ray, Ray gonna be Ray. But at least Envy kept it real. Man, there's dudes up here. You know what I'm saying? Charlamagne out there laughing and giggling, but you was just up here talking about Ray J was gay and all. That's the old rumor. We've been heard about that and all that old shit. Like, nigga, knock it off.
Yeah, now that's
your shit ain't that far from that either, Charlamagne.
But that's the people that put some rumors out there on them. We ain't here trying to stir nothing up. But I mean, like you said, Envy, he kept it real. He said, you know,
you got to be careful with that type of shit. Like, you know, I know situations where it'd be a girl, and you know what I mean. You know, already know what her get down is. She's a floozy. She's a schizoid, a skeezer. You know what I mean? She at all the events, all on the rappers and ball players' face, and all that shit. You know what I mean? And you know what her get down is. And then her turn is to get at you. So you turn her down. You're like, I'm good. Oh. Motherfucker must be gay around here. And they'll throw a gay jacket on you. That's what they do now of today, these girls, when you don't want to be bothered with it. Nah, trick. I just don't want to be bothered with you. You know what I mean? I already know what your get down is. You just slept with like 4 or 5 or 6 of my homies. You know what I mean? So that's all it is. You know, people need to be careful how they throw that shit around. But we all know who is and who isn't. You know what I'm saying? Which is, you know, that's their preference or whatever. But Charlamagne, you need to knock it off with all that laughing and giggling and sniggling and giggling.
Yeah, you know, it's a bit crazy. I heard dude talking about the ratio in the room and all this. I don't know if you try to be clever and play on words, but you know, there's a time and a place for stuff. I mean, it seemed to me like clout chasing, you know, you just go sit around in the radio station with your shirt off, just, you know, to spark that kind of conversation. Maybe you got something you're trying to tell the public and stuff. You know, we have seen stuff.
Maybe it's a cry for help, whatever it is, you know, but you know, it is what it is, man. Shit.
Yep, that's what it is. So, you know, we're looking at this weird ass game, and you know, every day there's always something new. So I suppose that ain't nothing that surprising and stuff.
That is odd though, for you know, to go on there to the Breakfast Club who done with your shirt off. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is crazy. I ain't never seen Ray do no shit like that, but you know, it is what it is. Maybe, you know, shit, you feeling yourself or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a fact.